What do we have in common? Well, obviously, we're all part of the Brotherhood of the Hair Loss, so we've got that in common. But there's another thing. Maybe it's not as obvious, but something that all 2,000 plus of us have done. We've seen Guardians of the Galaxy, and we've seen Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. All of us. If you say you've never saw it, then you really did and you just forgot about it. You've got memory lapse issues and you need to go to the doctor to get that checked and worked on. Let's talk about that concept a little bit more though. Guardians of the Galaxy. What if we changed a few words? What if we made it Guardian of the Identity? Guardian of the Identity. Okay? Keep that in mind. Guardian of the Identity. I want to talk to you about my friend Ian. I met Ian yesterday when he emailed me a picture of his hair. 17 years old. I pointed out typically that when someone who's that young emails me a picture of their hair, usually it's nothing. Usually Norwood 1, the beginning of Norwood 1, which is basically where I was at age 17. But undeniably, after looking at several pictures, I noticed that our friend Ian was actually, in my unprofessional opinion, a Norwood 2. There was definitely a V here, and I could see from the side too, it appeared to be a 2, not a 1. It wasn't straight across, there was the V going on. So he's asking me, when's this gonna stop? Am I gonna go bald? That sort of thing. So I responded as Nick Shell would. I sent him a link to my video, the 5-minute version, where I am showing a picture of myself exactly at 1 year old, comparing that to how it was last year to 35-year-old man. My theory, which I believe definitely is right, but most people kind of shake it off like it's no big deal, but I believe your hairline and your hair density at age 1 is a good projection of what you'll be like at 35. Now, some will say, oh, but Nick, I can think of exceptions. What about the prince? I don't know. I'm American. I don't keep up with royalty in England or whatever it is. But there's the prince, and he's like my age, about 35, and he's barely got hair left. Who's the prince? I don't even care. Again, I'm American. You think I keep up with magazines? Oh, look at the prince and his family and Kate and their baby. Do you think I don't even know his name? I don't need to know his name. I'm a conceited, arrogant American that I don't need to keep up with that, right? Why is that? Why is he any more important than any king of Africa, right? Well, let's find out who's in charge of Ethiopia. They're just as important to me as anybody in England. To me, I don't care what country you come from, what your culture is. You're worth just as much as everybody else. We're all worth the same amount. Our souls are, right? That's what I believe. I don't need to know the prince's name. But what we do know, oh, is it William? Okay, there you go. If that's it, if I'm right and I don't care, his name might be William. And he's 35 and he's a prince in England or something. And he's losing his hair. And it's already been proven. We've looked him up. We looked at a photo of him at age 1. And sure enough, he actually had more hair than he does now. So he's an exception to the rule. But you know the way I look at life? I don't focus on the exceptions to the rules. For the most part, 80-20 is the formula I go by. If something is working 80% of the time, but not 20, I'm not going to focus on the 20% of the time it doesn't work. I look at the 80% of the time that it works. And 80% of the time, what I've seen is, if you take a picture when you were exactly 1 year old, and you look at it, that's going to be a projection of how your hair is going to be at age 35. I've seen it work 80% of the time. Okay? So, he did that. He sent me the picture a couple minutes later. And sure enough, that is so funny. Look at this. Ah, wow. I had this in my pocket because that's the next video. I would have wondered what happened to that. Can you believe that? And the only reason I didn't go down the road is because they're mowing the lawn. Wow. I need that for the next video. So anyway, Ian sent me the picture. And sure enough, virtually no hair on top. So he had to, I was presenting him with information that basically, even though he's only 17 now, by the time he's double his age, 35, he's probably not going to have hair on top. And I didn't feel good about telling him that perceived truth that I have. I didn't feel good about it, because I went on to tell him, because then he asked me, well, so when do you think I'm losing my hair? And I thought, well, in my opinion, I think by 25 he'll probably be about where I am in Norwood 3 and possibly thinning. So that by the time he's 30, there's a good chance he's the guy that's definitely shaving his head, you know? And that's not fun news to tell a 17-year-old guy. It's not. I don't take any pleasure in telling that. But at the same time, I speak truth. People can say I'm conceited, full of myself, all this stuff, but ultimately, I speak truth. Even if it's not what we want to hear, maybe it's what we need to hear. Maybe the best thing I can do for Ian is to tell him the truth that and he also pointed out that his dad's bald. And so I said, look at pictures of your dad when he was younger, find out at what point he started really losing his hair. Well, at what point did he go Norwood 2? At what point did he go Norwood 3? And sure enough, his dad actually went Norwood 2 sooner, is what he was telling me. So there's definitely things we can look at to sort of predict that. That's not what this video is about. This video is about how he handled it. Because when I explained to him basically the fate I'm looking at for him, based on what we see with his own picture at age 1, with the way his dad went bald, and I basically told him, wouldn't you rather know now than to have to wonder? And I gotta say, I am so impressed with Ian. I really think a lot of Ian, and I admire Ian, because that's a lot of truth to handle when you're 17 years old. I told him, best case scenario, I'm wrong, and hopefully I am. But if you already know what's coming, then you don't have to, is that a dead rat? If you already know that's coming, then it's not as much to be anxious about, because you can accept that identity now. I said earlier in a video this week how I've already accepted the fact that I'm balding. So when I look in the mirror, sure, I've got hair, but I don't see myself as that guy. I see myself as a guy who's balding, and therefore I've already moved on. Hair's doesn't need to be a part of me. It's not part of my identity. That's not the way I perceive it. And what I'm already seeing with Ian, his response, he was mature about it. He was like, okay, haha, thanks for being honest, or whatever. And I'm just so impressed by that, because this kid at 17 years old is hearing a difficult truth. And he's basically, what he's doing at age 17 is saying, okay, as far as guardians of the identity, see, that's where a lot of people go wrong. Here's what Ian's doing right. He is thinking, I'm not going to continue to guard this identity that I am Ian. I am Ian with a full head of hair. That's my identity. I am attractive and worth something and valuable because I have hair. That's who I am. I'm Ian. I have hair. My hair is who I am. My hair makes me attractive. My hair makes people like me. That identity, he's getting out of that identity. Instead, he's saying, I'm Ian. Look, it's in my DNA that I'm going to lose my hair. I'm embracing it. It's not fun. It's not what I choose, but I'm going to do this thing. I'm not guarding my identity so hard that I'm going to be stuck and I'm going to be anxious and I'm going to be full of fear and all this stuff. He's not doing that. He's not guarding his identity. But I tell you, one of the things that holds human beings back so much is that they're guarding their identity. Whether it's your hair because you don't want to be the guy that's losing his hair, or whether it's you think that you're a good person, and if you're a good person, you should be treated right by everyone. So that when someone says something to you that's offensive, you get hurt. Why? Because it's an attack on your identity. Ultimately, I think it's a pride issue. I think if you have enough pride to think I'm a good person, I deserve to be treated right, then how easy will it be for someone to offend you? Some people could say, well, Nick, you're full of pride because you're going around saying no one can hurt your feelings, no one can insult you, no one can offend you. Well, I'm saying, I'm not assuming I'm a good person all the time. I'm assuming I can be wrong, I can be ugly, I can be fat, I can be old, I can be short. I can be all these things that people could possibly insult me with, and I don't care because I'm not identifying as above a standard. I'm really identifying as below a standard. That way, I can't be thrown off or hurt or offended by anyone. People are so caught up in their identity, and if anyone shakes that, it shakes them up. But my identity is not attached to my hair. And Ian, let me just say, I am so proud of you. I admire you so much. I respect you so much. Because you are making a conscious decision to change your identity to the new Ian. I like you, Ian.